It's the night a luxury cruise, a floating palace of light and leisure, turned into a catastrophe. This is the story of the Costa Concordia, a vessel that represented the pinnacle of modern maritime engineering, boasting 15 decks, multiple swimming pools, a grand theatre, and luxurious cabins for over 3,000 passengers. It was a city at sea, designed for pleasure and relaxation. But on one fateful evening, this symbol of holiday dreams would become a scene of unimaginable terror and chaos. I'm taking you minute by minute through the Costa Concordia disaster of 2012. We will dissect the chain of events, the critical decisions, and the human cost of a tragedy that should never have happened. We will explore how a series of flawed judgments and a breakdown in procedure led to the loss of 32 lives and one of the most infamous shipwrecks in modern history. Our timeline begins on Friday, 13th of January 2012. The Costa Concordia is embarking on a 7-day scent of citrus cruise around the Mediterranean. At the port of Civitavecchia, near Rome, the last group of passengers boards. The atmosphere is one of excitement and anticipation. On board are 3,206 passengers from dozens of countries and a crew of 1,023, bringing the total to 4,229 souls. As the ship pulls away from the dock, few could imagine the ordeal that lay just hours ahead. The ship's master is Captain Francesco Schettino. Instead of following the standard pre-approved route, Schettino decides to perform a sail-by salute. This dangerous, unauthorized maneuver involves steering the colossal vessel perilously close to the island of Giglio. The intention is to impress a retired captain on the island and a crew member whose family lives there. It's a gesture born of hubris, a deviation from protocol that will set the stage for disaster. The ship, weighing over 114,000 gross tons, is now heading directly towards shallow, rock-strewn waters at a speed of over 15 knots, 21:45, the time of impact. Travelling far too close to the shore and far too fast, the port side of the Costa Concordia's hull collides with a massive underwater rock outcrop known as Lascaux. The sound is a deafening, grinding roar that reverberates through the entire ship. Many passengers, enjoying dinner or a show in the theatre, describe it as feeling like an earthquake. The ship shudders violently. On the bridge, the crew feels the jolt, but the true scale of the damage is not yet understood. A 50-meter gash, the length of an Olympic swimming pool, is torn open below the waterline. Seawater immediately begins to surge into the vessel's vital organs. The breach compromises at least 3 watertight compartments, including the main engine room and generator rooms. Within moments, the ship's main electrical power trips, plunging large sections of the vessel into darkness. The emergency diesel generator kicks in, but it can only power essential systems, not the main propulsion. The lights fail, the engines go silent. The floating city is now dead in the water, powerless and adrift. As thousands of tons of water flood the port side, the ship's stability is critically compromised. The laws of physics take over. The Costa Concordia begins to list, tilting noticeably to port. On the decks, passengers feel the floor slant beneath their feet. Crockery smashes in the dining rooms. The initial confusion begins to morph into genuine fear. 21:50 to 22:20. For a critical half hour, chaos and indecision reign on the bridge. The crew struggles to grasp the catastrophic extent of the damage. Despite the blackout and the obvious list, the initial announcements to passengers are dangerously misleading. They are told it's simply a blackout, an electrical fault that is being resolved. This crucial delay in acknowledging the truth wastes precious time. The Italian Coast Guard, alerted by passengers making frantic calls from their mobile phones, contacts the ship. Inexplicably, the bridge crew downplays the situation, reporting only a power outage and denying any breach or immediate danger. 22:26. Nearly an hour after the impact, the general emergency signal. 7 short blasts, followed by 1 long blast, finally sounds throughout the ship. The pretense is over. The order is given to proceed to muster stations. Life jackets go on. But the delay has had severe consequences. The ship's list is now so pronounced that navigating the corridors is becoming difficult. Corridors tilt at alarming angles, turning familiar passageways into treacherous obstacles. Panic, once simmering, now begins to boil over as passengers and crew scramble in the semi-darkness. 22:54. The order to abandon ship is finally given, but the evacuation is chaotic and fraught with peril. The severe list to port makes it impossible to launch the lifeboats on the starboard side. They are pinned against the hull. On the port side, the angle is so steep that lowering the boats becomes a dangerous, uncontrolled descent. The increasing list traps hundreds of passengers on the high side of the ship, unable to cross the slippery, angled decks to reach the functional lifeboats. The well-rehearsed safety drills are rendered useless by the extreme physical conditions. Around 23:30. As the official evacuation falters, a civilian rescue mission begins. The people of Giglio, seeing the disaster unfold just off their coast, rush to help. Local ferries, fishing boats, and private vessels head towards the stricken giant, pulling alongside to rescue those who have jumped or fallen into the cold January water. Meanwhile, a strange twist of fate prevents a far greater catastrophe. The prevailing winds and currents slowly push the powerless Concordia back towards Giglio. Instead of drifting out to the deep sea and sinking completely, the ship comes to rest on a rocky ledge in shallow water. After midnight, 14th of January, the ship's list becomes irreversible. The Costa Concordia slowly and catastrophically rolls onto her starboard side, coming to rest half submerged, just meters from Giglio's harbour. The port side, with its gaping wound, now faces the sky. The starboard side is underwater. The rescue operation enters a new, desperate phase. Helicopters arrive, their searchlights cutting through the darkness, winching survivors from the exposed decks and balconies. On shore, the small island community scrambles to provide shelter, blankets, and comfort to thousands of shocked and traumatized survivors. During this chaos, an infamous exchange takes place. The Coast Guard discovers that Captain Schettino is not on his ship coordinating the rescue, but is ashore in a lifeboat. In a now legendary radio call, a furious Coast Guard official, Gregorio de Falco, repeatedly orders him, "Vada a bordo, cazzo! Get back on board, damn it!" Schettino does not return. By dawn, the immense scale of the disaster is revealed in the morning light. Thousands are safe, but many are still missing, trapped within the labyrinthine, flooded corridors of the wreck. In the following hours, days and weeks, a grim search unfolds. Specialist divers from the Italian Navy and fire brigades undertake the perilous task of exploring the submerged half of the ship. They navigate through a dark, disorienting world of floating furniture and debris, searching for the missing. Their heroic efforts lead to the recovery of victims, but the final death toll is heartbreaking. Ultimately, 32 people lose their lives in the disaster, a tragedy directly attributable to the initial deviation and the subsequent failure of leadership. With the search for survivors over, attention turns to the wreck itself. The Costa Concordia is a ticking environmental time bomb containing over 2,000 tons of fuel. Environmental teams move fast to avert a catastrophic spill in the pristine waters of the Tuscan archipelago. Then begins one of the largest and most complex maritime salvage operations ever attempted. In September 2013, after months of preparation, engineers complete the power-buckling operation, a monumental feat of engineering to rotate the 114,000-ton ship upright. By July 2014, huge buoyancy tanks, or sponsons, are welded to its sides. The wreck is refloated off its rocky perch and begins its final journey. It is towed 320 kilometers to the port of Genoa for scrapping, a 2-year process that erases the physical scar from Giglio's coastline. But the legal and moral accounting was just beginning. In court, investigators laid out a damning case. They cited the captain's unauthorized deviation from the approved course, the reckless proximity to shore, the critical delay in sounding the alarm, and the chaotic, mismanaged evacuation. Captain Francesco Schettino was convicted of multiple counts of manslaughter, causing a maritime accident, and abandoning ship. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison. The lesson of the Costa Concordia is brutal in its simplicity. Procedures exist for a reason. In a complex, high-risk environment like a modern cruise ship, adherence to protocol is not optional. It is the bedrock of safety. The disaster highlighted the absolute necessity of a clear chain of command and the courage to make difficult decisions without delay. When seconds matter, transparency and swift, decisive action save lives. The wreck of the Costa Concordia is gone, dismantled piece by piece. But its warning remains, a permanent, indelible reminder of the human cost of arrogance, indiscipline, and the failure to lead.